I haven't really been watching anybody else's reviews to this show. Really, I don't know what anybody else is saying about it. I like it. What's going on, everybody? My name is Alex, and this is a little thing that we call Jabber. Like I said just now, I haven't watched anybody else's reviews of the show, of House of the Dragon Season 2. But I'm loving it. I'm not doing reactions to it because I'm watching it with my fiance. She does enjoy the Game of Thrones world. But before we get into what I thought about episode 3, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, push that notification bell while you're at it. Well, why not? If you want to stay up to date with me being inconsistent, that's the best way to do it. I am inconsistent. I post videos when I feel like it, and that's that. It doesn't really. I'm not on a schedule. I do this shit when I can and when I feel like it. And hopefully, whatever. If you guys like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. All I know is that I want to keep growing my channel and my subscriber base. So please just hit that subscribe button. What's it going to hurt? It's only going to hurt me, not you. Even if you're subscribed and you don't watch my videos, whatever, it still helps me out. I subscribe to a bunch of people all the time just because they say that, and half of them I might watch. So it's just, we're human. It's just what it is. It's like following people on Instagram or Twitter or something that, you don't really keep up with. You're just a human being. Anyway, no harm, no foul. But if you are subscribed, thank you. And you are a gentleman or woman, or whatever else you want to call yourself. Anyway, let's just jump into it. I didn't write down any of these pros and cons. We're just going to go through all the stuff that I liked about the episode and some things that I didn't like. As I said, I haven't been reacting to these because I watch them with my fiance. She enjoys... she liked Game of Thrones, and I think she liked House of the Dragon Season 1. She hasn't been loving this season. She says that it's boring and nothing's really happening. On the contrary, because there's a lot happening that she doesn't realize. And I'm sure a lot of you feel the same sentiments as she does, that there's not a lot happening, that it's very slow, it's sort of boring. It's not if you sit and can pay attention and listen to the dialogue. Nothing against her. She's more of a visual person, so she likes the action and interesting things that are happening. I myself enjoy slower build up. I like a lot of dialogue. I like to pay attention, and people don't appreciate how well written that this show really is until you dive deep into the dialogue. Specifically, the dialogue in the show, it's top notch. It's so good. Every scene I'm hooked into because the dialogue is so intricately laid out, and it's so well written, and it's just, people don't talk in any other show or movie like they do in the Game of Thrones world. Say what you will about the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones, specifically the 8th season, it still has really, really good written dialogue. Now, the plot of the show might have progressively gotten a little lazy and rushed, but the dialogue was always fantastic, and I feel the same here. And this, though it is a little rushed, and a little like rushed meaning like it's based on like one part of a novella, right, or a novel, like the Fire and Blood. It's not that long from what I can remember, and it's just one part of it. So yeah, they got to rush through things. It's a shorter story, so that's fine. It doesn't bother me. It actually works in this show's favor. But it also hurts it, and that's where Game of Thrones kind of is a little better, because it lets you get to know all these characters a little more. So we'll just get into the things that I like. Like I said, I love the dialogue. I love the way that the story is going. I'm really into this time period in the Game of Thrones, like realm. I think it's really interesting. I love seeing the fucking conniving bullshit that happens in the Game of Thrones. And this just adds on top of it. But I think it's a little I think these first 2 seasons are a little more better written than some of the stuff in Game of Thrones. Specifically the stuff with like Daemon and the dialogue between Rhaenyra and pretty much anybody, like even Alicent, like specifically when they talk at the end of this episode, like it's good. But the marketing for this episode was a little off-putting. They made it seem like there was going to be a big battle, and there wasn't. I guess that's coming next week. I don't know. I thought that there was supposed to be 2 battles, 2 really major event battles that happened in this season, but I don't know. We'll see. I know it got renewed for season 3, but I think they're going to wrap this up and restart a different Targaryen storyline in season 3, which it has to be baby Aegon the Third, if you know the history of Game of Thrones. But anyway, I've been loving this season. I think the dialogue is 10 times better than the last season, and I love the last season too. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm looking forward to seeing what's gonna come. Even though I know I know all the history of Game of Thrones. I've read most of the material, so I already know kind of what to expect. But I'm sure they're gonna tweak some things just to keep us on our toes. But I've been loving it. I've been loving every second of it. I'm glad that we have something on TV that's refreshing, coming off of, you need something refreshing at the end of the week after you see some dog shit like The Acolyte, some poorly written fucking bullshit. I don't care how well choreographed the last episode was with the fights. That's all they got. Nothing about it is interesting. Which brings me to my next point. That's why Andor was so good, was because the writing was just as good as the writing in this show. And I think it's a testament to the UK and how they produce their shows specifically, because obviously Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon is very heavily UK staffed, and same with Andor. Tony Gilroy, I believe, is from the UK, but that doesn't matter because his writing staff and his directors were all from the UK, and they've all worked on British television shows before. And I think it just shows that they're just better writers at this point. Like we write things for half-witted, us meaning the US, we write things for half-witted fucking morons that really can't pay attention to anything, and they just want to see fucking explosions and pew pew pew, like, oh, just feed me full of garbage and I'll be fine. That's just what they're into. Which I like too, don't get me wrong, but I also like things I like things that are well written and well drawn out, and where I'm getting invested in the characters, which comes to my cons, my dislikes about the season so far. I feel like I don't care as much about the characters in this season as I did the last season. Like, I was more invested in where they were going the last season, but like this season, everybody's pretty expendable. Like, I don't really care. I know who's gonna live and die. Maybe that's the problem. But I'm just not as invested because I haven't spent as much time to get invested and care about the characters in the show like I did with Game of Thrones. And, I can't really say that's a minor gripe, because I feel like any show that I watch, I should care about the characters that I really didn't know anything about besides, well, if you're an average viewer that you didn't know anything about going in. I knew a little bit about them going in, and then I started reading up more once I saw the first couple episodes of the first season. But I'm just not as invested. I'm more into the spectacle and the production value and the just dialogue and how it's all going to play out. Like, I know what's going to happen, but so maybe that's why I'm not as invested, because I already have gotten that in my head, like, to not get invested. But I'm more into how the people producing the show are going to let it unfold on screen, and that's what's keeping me interested in it, I think. As an average viewer, I'm not really sure. Like, my fiance, she doesn't really know anything about the story or what's going on, and she's like, because she hasn't read the books and she hasn't spent the time like I have, because she's not like a super nerd about, just learning everything about the world and getting like deep into it. Like, I've read all 5 of the Game of Thrones books that are out like 3 times. So, and I've gone on every single like wiki that they have. I've looked up characters and gone through their entire backstory. Like, I know everything about a lot of characters. I'm really I love this world so much, but not a lot of people do, and they don't spend that time psychotically to get to know all these things. So I don't know how it is as an average viewer. So watching it through her eyes, I guess I'm kind of understanding where she's coming from, to where it's like, oh yeah, maybe they do need to spend a little bit more time to let you like fall in love with the character first. Because like, really, any single one of these characters could die in the next episode. It's not going to give me like a red wedding kind of like, oh my God, holy shit, I can't believe that just happened moment. But that's because I didn't read the Game of Thrones books until after I watched the show. So maybe that's why. I can't really figure it out. I don't know. But that's really my only gripe that I have. Other than that, this show looks top notch. It's the best. It's the best that Game of Thrones has looked, I think, in since like maybe the last couple seasons of Game of Thrones. Say what you will, they looked fantastic. And this, it's giving me the best of both worlds. The story is great. The production value is great. My only gripe is that I'm not like fully invested in the characters and their longevity, because I know what's going to happen. I'm more into seeing how the people producing it put it on screen, because that to me is more impressive. That people can adapt something like this and it actually like works. But that's how it goes in these sorts of things. And I can't say the same about Star Wars right now, because they're not doing anything that I know, which that really shouldn't even be like my biggest concern, but whatever. It's just a breath of fresh air every week. Like, cause I get so fucking depressed. It seems like every time I watch a new Star Wars show or an episode of a Star Wars show that I already know is going to disappoint me. And then at the end of the week, I get a treat like House of the Dragon, and it's nice. And I just give kudos to everybody over at HBO for how they produce these shows, because it's just they consistently are just dropping great shows. Just great production value. Like, you can tell that the people making the show care about the show and they care about their work. That can't be said about most studios around these days. And I can't wait for that new show, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, that comes out next year. I love the world. I'm just into it. Maybe that's why I can kind of like get past the fact that I'm not like fully invested in these characters. But that's just me. Anyway, what do you guys think of episode 3 of House of the Dragon? Do you think it's going to get wild? I know it's going to get wild. It has to get wild. Are you bored? Are you about to give up on it? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, hit that notification bell if you want to keep up to date with me. I'm inconsistent, even for myself, and I try to pump these out when I can, which is why I'm staying up to do so before I have to work tomorrow, and then not have any time to edit these until I watch The Acolyte. So Anyway, if you're looking, which I caused a fucking stir, I guess, on my Acolyte reaction. If you like that kind of stuff, keep on watching, because I am a controversial figure in my own head. That's the ego. But anyway, my name is Alex. This is Jabber. Until next time, sayonara.